Whether you are a brand new entrepreneur looking to host a live event in 2015, or you've done workshops, retreats, and conferences basically your whole entire career, I wanted to talk a little bit today about 3 ways to make your next event, your first event perhaps, have a really great client experience and something that people talk about, retweet, hashtag, post on Instagram, and just really get the word out about. I'm Lauren Caselli. I am an event planner for creative entrepreneurs for workshops and retreats and conferences, and I am here today to talk to you about how to make your client experience on point and incredible. So today I have 3 things I want to talk about, and these 3 things are all aimed at making your workshop way better than it already is. And that's not to say it's bad, but sometimes, when we're not event planners, when we are creative entrepreneurs, we kind of get bogged down in the planning details, finding a venue, finding a caterer, making sure, our sales are going well. So we get bogged down in those details, and we don't kind of think a little bit outside the box about how to make the experience second to none and wonderful. And that, more than the information that's gleaned, more than the workshops that are taught, the client experience, if it's easy, if it's streamlined, if it's really a positive experience, that is what's going to make your next workshop even more talked about and even more shared on the social media platforms that we're all so anxious to be shared on. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was communication. It's really important that you communicate with your attendees, with your clients, because this is a scary thing for them. A lot of times workshops, live events are expensive, and so they're putting a lot of money down to come and sit and listen and glean the knowledge from you that you have learned over your years in business. And so communication is super important so that they feel taken care of, they feel like you're listening to them, there's an ear open, and that they have access to you and your staff and your team if anything comes up. And so some practical examples of this, not only at the workshop or the retreat, but before. So when they sign up, they should get a welcome email. They should get something that says, "Thank you so much for signing up. I'm so grateful for you. Here are some things you need to know initially." Maybe if they have to, if it's a getaway retreat, maybe things that they have to pack that they might need to shop for in advance. Maybe, things they need to know about parking or, flying in. Travel is always a really important one if people are traveling. But just a really good, solid email that explains all of the details. The other thing that's really important is to have an email address that they can feel like they can email back, or even a phone number, because people want to feel like they have that inside line to you. So not only do I recommend a welcome email, but I also recommend an email maybe about a month out explaining some more details, maybe having an agenda, a tentative agenda, maybe talking about sponsorships if anyone wants to sponsor, if you haven't gotten any sponsors, or if you're looking for sponsors, or if you've already gotten sponsors. Whew. So an email that talks about that. And then I recommend an email the week before talking about parking, talking about last minute questions, talking about who you should call if you are driving and you're lost and you can't find the venue. So those, at minimum, those 3 emails going out before your event. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about was communication at your event. A lot of people think, okay, I'm only having 30 people, I'm only having 40 people. I don't need someone to help me, which I totally recommend against, but that's a post for another day. I think it's great and amazing and awesome and to have a lot of help. And if you can offer that help, maybe for, have people volunteer to be assistants, to be, volunteers at the event in exchange for a ticket to the event. But you want your guests to feel like they're taken care of. You want to have somebody stationed in the breakfast room or in the main area answering questions. You want to have signage or a person directing people to the bathrooms. You want to make your clients and your attendees feel like They're important and they mean a lot to you, and communication and having a lot of avenues where they can reach out should they need it is really important. So having signage, if that's, breakfast this way, or lunch is this way, or breakout session is over here, having that signage so that people don't feel like they're lost when they get out of a session. And then also have a really solid day of agenda. So people know, I'm going to be here in the morning, and then we have lunch, and then we're going to go into breakout sessions. And so people have an idea, not just like on a whim kind of being like, okay, now we're having lunch. And people are like, oh, I'm confused. I thought we were going to have a break and have another session. So having a really strong day of agenda that you give at the beginning of the event. The second thing I wanted to talk about was inclusion, making your guests feel really included. And that can be anything from a private Facebook group before the event, those are always really awesome, because if it's a traveling event, people can find ride shares, they can find, road trip buddies if they're going down, if they're driving a couple hours, they can find people to take cabs from the airport with. So it's all really a great idea to have people or to make people feel included, like they have a posse or a tribe, because it's a hard thing to go to an event and not know anybody. It's really, really difficult. So making them feel included is important. Another way to make people feel included is to block out some time in your schedule. Make yourself accessible. And people are coming to this workshop for you, or this retreat for you. So if you're not accessible, if you know that you need a lot of downtime, figure out ways that you can maybe shorten some of your sessions and have some one-on-one time, or 3-on-1 time, or 5-on-1 time with some of your guests and your attendees, because that's why they are coming, because they want to see you and talk to you and feel connected to you. And that's so important. So that's a second thing. The third and final thing that I love with my own client experience is surprises. So this can be anything. This can be a little package in the mail when they sign up with a luggage tag, which I think is such a cute idea. It can be, even after they've signed up, it can be a printed invitation so that people feel, like they're, attending a party or this really wonderful retreat where they get this, gorgeous invitation in the mail. And then it could be anything, on the day of the event. One event I went to, they comped our hotel rooms as a surprise, which was like so unexpected and so wonderful. I'm not saying you have to comp hotel rooms, but I'm saying that creating small surprises, maybe it's an impromptu at the end of your weekend, maybe it's an impromptu cocktail party, maybe it's a bouquet of flowers, or some giveaways with really wonderful products that you love that maybe people have sponsored to give at the event. So having these surprises are all really, really good ways to make your workshop extremely, extremely memorable. And to get those tweets and those shares and those Instagram posts, those are all really, really great ways to make a workshop, a retreat, a conference super memorable and high up on the list for people to attend again. Thank you so much for listening. Your homework today is in the comments below this video. Tell me what you thought about those 3 things, or those things that you've had experience with if you've attended a live event. And maybe a couple disaster stories. Maybe if you've attended an event and there was no communication and you didn't feel included and there were no surprises and you were like, I'm never going to this event again. Or if you went to an event and those 3 things did happen, can you share a story in the comments below this video? I would love that, to hear about your experience. So thank you so much. I cannot wait to see how you use these in your upcoming event, and I'm so excited, and I wish you the best.